In this video, we'll go over small business websites. Our agenda for this video is to first discuss why you need a website for your small business. Next is to go over the domain name, which is the actual thing you type in a web browser that then lets you look at your website. Next, we'll go over the website hosting companies. These are where you actually store the files that make up your website. Then we'll talk about WordPress, which is one of the most popular ways to build a website. And finally, we'll talk about content, the actual items you need to put on your website. So, the first section is, why do you need a website? A website is basically the place that you can have an internet presence where you can show to your potential and your current customers information about your business, your products, your services. First thing about a website that it actually provides is a professional appearance. It helps you to actually show your business and look professional compared to someone who may just have a Facebook page or a Yelp profile or, well, no website. The next aspect is actually the website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And thus, when people are looking for products or services you may provide, your website is actually available to them. They don't have to call, they don't have to send you an email. Third, a website actually is what's shown in search engines. Most search engines record websites, not necessarily social media profiles such as Facebook or Instagram. They're showing there. The final thing about a website is it actually allows you to have analytics. This could be information about people coming to visit your website. So it could be where they're coming from, how many times they visit, which pages they look to, which website are they coming from. Again, it provides a lot of information that shows you different things about your current and potential customers. A business website can have its most basic contact information, how to either send you an email or call your business. Additionally, you could have information about your business. Many people want to know more before they enter into a relationship with a business. The next thing that a business website can accomplish is to actually explain your services and products. As they say, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So you can show your services, you can write information about them. Additional thing a website can do is show pricing. Part of our investigation when we're looking to determine who we'd like to buy a service or product from is to find out how much it costs. Additional things that can be on a website is to show past work. When people are judging a website, they like to know what you've done in the past, so you can show past projects or examples of past services you perform. Additional thing that people are looking for to make a decision about a product or service are to hear from other people, a client review or testimonial. A website can be a place where you can show this information. Websites can take on more interactive roles. They can actually help you get leads. You can provide your contact information, but you can also put on a form where people can submit information directly. The benefit of a form is that you can ask questions about your services or products that helps narrow it down. For example, if you are doing some sort of auto repair, you could ask information about the car. If you're providing a home service, you can ask where they're located at, what are the conditions that they're looking to have fixed. Additionally, websites can actually go one step further and actually turn into an entire e-commerce solution where someone can actually purchase your service or product directly on your website, and even process payment, and you'll get a notification that a sale has been made. Some very important things about websites. Most of customers nowadays actually come to your website via a mobile device, so a smartphone or a tablet. People still do research on a computer, so a desktop interface, but again, it needs to have the ability to show good good on both of those interfaces. Second is the performance issues. Your website needs to load quickly, both on desktop and mobile. People aren't very patient nowadays and expect websites to immediately load without a whole bunch of waiting around, which if they're waiting for something, they may choose to just go to someone else. Next part of a small business website we'll talk about is what's called a domain name. What is a domain name? Well, it's an address on the internet. So as you see on the example there, in a web browser, you may type in something like https:// www.google.com. That's the address of your website. What I read to you is actually what's called a URL. It's a Uniform Resource Locator. And it has multiple parts. The www part is actually what's technically called a host name. The word Google, or in my example there, company name, that's the actual domain name. And com, that's what's called a top-level domain. Top-level domains are technically this highest level of a domain name. You don't really think about it from time to time. Some examples are .com, .net, .org, .edu. They could also be a country code, .us, .uk for United Kingdom, Britain, .ca for Canada, and many new ones are popping up all the time, .biz, .online, .pro, .co, or just some examples of different top-level domains. When you're trying to figure out your domain name, it might be useful to use a brainstorming tool. These are actually could come from the places where you might buy your domain, which is a domain registrar, but there's also dedicated websites that might give you suggestions. You can type in a few keywords and get some examples back. There are a few listed here, NameStation, DomainBots, DomainR, and Nameboy that could be helpful for that. Domain names do cost money. When you sign up to pick your given domain name at a domain name registrar, you have to pay for an initial sign-up fee. Sometimes those are discounted, so be aware of that. And then you need to set up an annual renewal of that. You can also buy multiple years in advance. Some common or familiar domain name registrars that exist out there are GoDaddy, Namecheap, Google Domains, and Hover. As part of your domain name, you actually may want to look at the issue of privacy. How does privacy come up? Well, the way the naming system was set up is you would actually have to put your name, your address, your phone number, and contact information. It's not technically bad if you're a business because you probably have that information on your website, but there are times, especially on personal websites, you might actually want to hide that. All this information is put into what's called the WHOIS database. You can find multiple places on the internet where you can look this up, type in the domain name, and it'll come back with the information that's shown there on the right. In this case, I did a test for Google. You can actually buy domain privacy, which will hide that information and use more generic ones. In this case, you don't find out much information about Google. You actually find just that they're registered with a company called Mark Monitor Inc. The next topic we'll go over is the website hosting company. So what is a website hosting company? Well, in order for your website to be on the internet, it has to be placed on a computer or a server that's available so that people can actually load your website. Because you probably want it to be available 24/7, this computer needs to be available online always. So, putting a website on your home computer where you may just turn off your computer doesn't make a lot of sense. So there's an entire industry for hosting companies that will provide different plans with many options and features where you can actually host your website. Once you've decided on a web hosting company, the next thing is to figure out how you may want to build your website. So there are many options here. One is what I call website builders. These are actually software provided by web hosting companies that give you a framework where you can drag and drop different pieces and actually build your website that way. Some examples are GoDaddy, Squarespace, and Wix. Another option for building your website is what's called a content management system, or CMS. What originally the websites were developed initially were just a bunch of files that could be displayed on the websites. Unfortunately, this made it very limited to how you can make changes to your website, and as websites got larger and larger, a simple small change would take way too long to have to go into individual files. So a system was kind of developed called a content management system, which is actually a way to have a dynamic website, which is made up of both the software program and all the content which is stored in a database. And so what happens is when you load that website, the software loads the data, puts it together into a format that then the web browsers can render. The benefit here is it allowed for small changes to the program or the content. Allows the website to kind of automatically be recombined each time it's loaded. There are many website hosting types available. The most common and the cheapest is what's called hosting. This is basically where a company provides a system that many people have websites together. Now, because of this, still private, but there could be performance problems if one site gets more popular than another, and you're sharing the resources. So at any moment in time, your or another site could affect the performance. If you want to go another level up, there's actually what's called a virtual private server. That actually gives you a dedicated set of resources, but you're still kind of sharing the physical things. Sort of related to that is cloud servers. These are kind of the same concept as a virtual private server, but using kind of different technologies. At the top is a dedicated server. You're actually buying dedicated space on a server, so you get the resources dedicated to you and things like that. There is sort of another one that comes in there that could happen at different places, and it's basically this managed server concept. Basically where the web hosting companies take care of some of the management that you don't have to worry about, usually at a lower level, and you worry just about the top level of the system. So again, there's many choices here. Most people start out with shared hosting because of cost, but again, if you need performance and things like that, there are systems that go up. The prices do increase as you move from shared hosting up to dedicated servers. The next thing we'll talk about is WordPress. What is WordPress? WordPress is one of the most popular CMSs, content management systems, that has been used to develop many websites. It originally started out as a blogging platform. Quick definition of blog is basically a type of website that is a chronological posting of different thoughts. Could be anything really. But over time, people took this platform because it was very flexible and actually used it to build full websites. WordPress basically by itself has this blogging platform, but it does allow for special content to be added, so you can easily add menus, sidebars, which are content to the sides of, are more content to the sides of your main content. Then there's these widgets. You can add in little teeny things. And ultimately, WordPress can be modified by themes and plugins. All of this flexibility gives that WordPress can actually accomplish a lot and is very flexible in helping you to build your website. The installation of WordPress is actually pretty simple. Most web hosting companies provide what's called a one-click installation routine, but even if you don't use that thing, WordPress prides itself on having what they call a 5-minute install. And so basically what you do is you download the WordPress files. WordPress is an open source software with a free pricing model, so anyone can use it. It does require a database, but most or almost all web hosting companies provide this database. You then copy the WordPress files to the web hosting account that you created, and you type in the URL of your website, and a prompt comes up and you follow the instructions, and in a few minutes you actually have a functional basic WordPress website. As I mentioned earlier, WordPress can be customized. So the first one is actually themes. Themes are the ability to change the appearance of WordPress. The nice thing about it is because the content is independent of the theme, you can actually change your mind on a theme and the content will just reformat for those new changes. And you can go back and forth between installing and activating them. There are free themes available. WordPress comes with a few of them. There are also paid themes. And even ultimately, if you want to hire a web developer, you can actually build a completely custom theme. So again, WordPress has this flexibility where themes allow for the appearance of your website to change. Additionally, WordPress has a concept called plugins. Plugins actually allow for additional features to be added to your WordPress website. They again are free and paid. Plugins can run the entire gamut of functionality. There are thousands and thousands of them. Again, this is one of the reasons why WordPress is so popular. Content. The most important thing about your website is the content you put on it. Typically, web pages need a few pages that most everybody expects to be it. The first one is the home page. This is the main starting point when someone goes to your website. Next, people expect an about page. They want to know why the website exists, and so an about page is that. Contact, again, way to get in contact with the person who runs or owns the website. If, again, this is for business, your services or products are another important thing to put on your website. Another thing is your portfolio or your past work. And finally, privacy policy. Privacy is becoming a much bigger part of using the internet, and it is very important that you state to your website visitors what you're doing with any information that could be collected on them, either intentionally or behind the scenes. Part of content is just text, written word. Text can be used to communicate almost anything you can write to there. Some examples of text you may include that people like to see on a website is some history about your company, obviously your services and your production, product descriptions, and then finally a way that you can communicate on a more regular basis is, again, using the concept of a blog. Another format of content that is beneficial on a website are images. Again, people like to see things. So you can use many different ways of communicating things using images. Some of them, again, could be your service or your product photos, information about your location, either, what does the building look like from the outside or things like that. And also behind the scenes information about your company is a great way through images because it really humanizes your business by letting people actually see things about your company or who works for your company. As the internet has increased over the years, video has become much more of a major thing to put on your website. The benefit of video is it's moving pictures. So you can communicate things that a picture or text just really can't do. A great example is a product review where you can actually show different things, move the object around that you're displaying. If you provide services as part of your business website, actually showing how the service is performed in a demonstration really helps. And customer testimonials. People like to read testimonials, but again, imagine the effectiveness of actually hearing a customer talk in their own voice about your business. So to wrap up this video with some conclusions, let's go over some of the benefits of a website. First, a website is your foundational internet presence. It's a place where you can put information about your business through different pages, through different content in the form of text or images or pictures. And it's a place where people go to look for information, the internet. Secondly, you can actually have complete control over your website. Unlike, say, using a social media network or something like that, which they can change at any time, you control all the data, the content, the images, everything about your website. It's in your control. Third, your website's available 24/7, 365 days a year to be your online salesperson. When you're sleeping, your website's still working. If somebody wants to look up your service, they can find you, send you an email, potentially using e-commerce, can actually purchase. If you have a contact form, they could send you information, and then the next day you'll have a lead that you can follow up in. And finally, ultimately, a website can raise the awareness of your business, and this is through multiple sources, either through being found in search engines, you put your domain name on your business truck or in your business card, and people find out more information about you.